is Congress, Janta Party or BJP. That's all I know. I didn't know much about anything at all.
Okay.
Here, when I came in, when I started my business, right, I learned a little hard way, okay, that, first, when I started my business, obviously, my name is different. I had to spell my business for me, right? So mostly, I said, I used to really work hard on government proposals. I used to spend day and night and, prepare my responses and send out to government. And after 3, 4, 5 weeks, I get a just 4-line letter. Thank you so much, but no good.
Which is, I think a lot of people have dealt with it on some level, this idea.
Exactly.
That, oh yeah, we get this generic letter from the government. Thank you very much. We appreciate your...
That's it. So then I decided, I said, this is not working. I said, you got to, then I learned that it's really who you know. Business is what? It's who you know. Very important that who you know, how much contact you have. Like, for example, this government contact that I built over at the Infosys career, they are very helpful to me on my solar business.
Okay.
Because once I already have established this contact, they are useful anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. So, I've been, then I started really slowly, like I said, I got to find out a way that how this thing will work, right? So then I started getting myself involved in, started with fundraisers, obviously, started with fundraiser, attending fundraiser. Obviously, what any elected official, I mean, you very well said before, when we talked about it, that two things they want, one is vote and one is money.
Right.
Two is money, right? Vote and money. Like in votes, obviously, we are a minority. Like, even if
it's a minority within a minority within a minority.
Exactly.
We just don't have the numbers.
We don't have numbers.
In and of itself.
We don't have numbers, and I was just giving an example. Like, let's say if you have a 500 people that you get together in a function, and you invite somebody there, out of 500, 250 probably, which you are really making sure that people do register for vote, which is very important. Because now you probably out of 500, 250 may not be registered for a vote. And out of 250, half will be Republican, half will be Democrat. Let's say half and half. It may not be half and half, but let's say half and half. Out of that, how many percentage will actually vote? So in politicians' mind, because why I'm talking to you, Dave, is that I've talked with all these elected officials. And what is their value that they are getting? Okay?
From the South Asian or
from
Indian
South
American,
Asian for our community, right? So that's one thing, that vote, we don't have that wealth with us.
Well, I would say that's definitely true depending on what level you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Because now we're seeing areas where you're seeing much larger numbers of South Asians or Indian Americans in that community.
Right.
So the vote becomes much more important, particularly like in New York City, if you see, or in Long Island in many places, you're seeing a large
close
number.
elections.
Yes, and the elections are so close that 3,000 or 5,000 people.
I definitely agree with you that, okay, one vote even counts. Okay,
Right.
every vote counts, number one. But when you talk about a general, like generally speaking, I'm talking about generally speaking, like any election could be close. Some people may win large, and some people may win, small, right? And if you lose by, in 2 years ago election, Swazi lost by only 300 votes, 300 plus vote. Okay, that makes a difference right there. Then our community is definitely counted, right? But more importantly, our community, the second part is money, right? So money we do donate in large amount to many of these people. Okay, we do that. So that's the only, in my mind, vote is number one and second is money, but we are definitely can use money more to gain our...
So now let me get to, are you saying that the financial contributions that we make to politicians help to strengthen the vote or our opinion or the sort of agenda of the Indian American community?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Financial contributions are very important because it's like a catch-22. Candidate who is running for election, they need money to run the election. And if they don't win, nothing happens. If they win, then and then they can do something. Right? So bottom line is they have to win.
And this is something that we often don't talk about, ladies and gentlemen, but it's important to talk about. The reality of things is we have numbers, great, and you got to utilize that, right? If you don't vote at all, then it doesn't matter at all. But at the end of the day, there's also another aspect of things, and every politician mentioned it, but we haven't necessarily discussed it per se on this show, and that's the idea that money plays a big part in the overall project, which is why during campaigns you're always seeing emails and emails, or we get the flyers from politicians saying, hey, please send me $500 to come to this event.
Yep.
Okay, so your direction in terms of bringing you into politics was from that financial fundraising perspective.
That's where I started.
Okay.
I started taking participation, into those, and then I started even, then I started getting more involved in going even door to door, like volunteering. What you just said, volunteer is very important. Like if you volunteer for anybody, then obviously it has a lot of value.
Okay,
also.
so advocating on behalf of various candidates.
Candidates, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So that has also a lot of value in the mind of elected officials.
And what kind of advocacy were you doing? You said you were doing door to door, like surrogates for
door to door campaign. Then you also do train stations. In the morning, early in the morning, I wake up at 6 o'clock and stand with the people who are running candidate, and then shake hand with the people who are going into train, that kind of thing. Then you also send emails out. You mailing out. You write I used to write a letter also. On to our community basically on behalf of certain candidate. Why they should vote for this candidate. That kind of thing.
It's tireless work, huh?
It's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not easy. But then if you look about the amount of the work you put in and the gain, ROI, return on investment, is a lot.
Well, let's talk about that. Are you talking about just a personal perspective on the return of investment, or is it something grander? What is the return?
Return on investment is like when you do personally, then obviously it's a personal return on investment, right? Because technically, when we were before 1947, the British were ruling us by what? Divide and rule. Here also, if we don't unite ourselves together, people who are running for offices, they don't want us to unite together. Because if we unite together, our power increases, then we demand more. They don't want that to happen. They want to have you take your money and have a picture and you're happy with it. That's it.
Well, this actually gets into the other issue, which is when you have a community like the Indian American or South Asian American community donating, but there's no sort of cohesive idea of what they want.
Yes,
and this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it comes in. Okay, fine, voting. Okay, fine, money, but also pushing that initiative, right? Because you want to know that why you're putting money is not just so that you can take that picture, right? You'd hopefully believe that it's because the candidate will act in the interests of whatever you believe or whatever your community believes. So now that actually brings up the issue of not only where does it take us, but also about the organization that you created, NY Impact, right? And what does that stand for?
Okay, NY Impact stands for New York Indian Political Action Committee.
Okay, now if you could explain to our audience what political action committees do, and then please explain how it started and what NY Impact is about.
Sure. Political action committees are, as it says, political action committee, and what it does is it has a specific mission that it does participate in elections and it does take support certain candidate to achieve certain goal. And once you create this organization, obviously it has to be registered, with the state and with the city also if you're doing a city, and with the federal government if you're giving, supporting the Congress, any congressional people, right? So it has to be registered at every place. So what we did is we created this organization about me, and not only me, but there are a few other people that we created this organization about, I would say about 2 years ago.
Okay.
About 2.5 years ago, something like that. And two really, because of all these years of experience in which I just spoke about, that the biggest problem of our community is we are divided. We are not we don't have a common goal. We don't have a common interest. We don't, we're not united. That's the word comes into my mind, right? So I thought, okay, let's create one organization where, how can I go to a potential candidate that if they win, what am I getting in return? How many appointments I'm getting in return? How many people you're going to employ wherever you have a quote unquote appointments or in their organization or whatever they are doing, right? That was our goal. And another goal is that how can we create our young generation really
an opportunity for them
to get involved and give them some guidance that listen, this is something is very important for us. If we don't do it, we already are successful, right? Everybody's successful. Everybody's making very good living here. But if we don't do this, what we are lacking is the power.
Right.
We don't get power. If I give, let's say, $1,000, you give $1,000, now we are divided. But if we all, like 10 people put together 10,000 and give to somebody, it's an organization. Because organization is power. Okay?
Why is that?
Well, because organization represents a lot of people. Okay? So even though, let's say, for example, if I go, I call anybody, any elected official currently, and I say, okay, well, I'm Raj Mehta calling. He doesn't have to pick up my phone. He doesn't have to talk to me. But if I go and call them and say, I'm calling from New York Indian Political Action Committee, I bet you're going to get called back.
Well, this actually brings up the other issue. Okay, so New York Political Action Committee, I'm assuming what you're talking about is the mission is to move forward with interests that are important to the Indian American community. That's a unified group.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, some people would argue, well, no, Indian Americans or South Asian Americans, I mean, or people of Indian origin, we have different ideas. Some are Republicans, some are Democrats. So then how do you unify that group? What are the unifying interests?
Well, see, I mean, everybody can have a different opinions. That's okay. I mean, it's good to have difference of opinion. It's healthy actually. But at the end of the day, we have to come up with one agenda. Now, our agenda is okay. I don't care you're Republican, you're Democrat. I don't care. We go for candidate. We support the candidate who supports us, meaning they give more appointments to our people. They employ more our people. Whenever.
Also, what do you think about South Asian American political organizations and the movement, maybe the Pan-Asian movement? I want to hear from you. Also, one last comment, Dr. Vishwanath, he said the speech that we read about George Washington on the first Thanksgiving in the United States, written in 1789, is just as important today as it was written in 1789. So I just want to thank him for that comment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions or comments, devv@itvgold.com or fax me at 718-784-8901. Thank you so much. Have a great week.